mess, don't make a mess, don't make a mess. That is a slow stream. We gotta drain the coolant in this thing because this whole upper coolant housing deal here, that's not gonna work. We don't got enough space. No more turbo. Oh my God, that was tight. This piece right here is literally the reason we could not get any further with this turbo kit. But now we got a new one. Good old billet upper coolant housing from Jackspania Racing. They were generous enough to send out a upper coolant housing for this thing. I also got a chain tensioner cover that we're gonna run our oil drain back to, and a couple other things. One thing that I'm probably not gonna use on this kit is this upper coolant neck piece, because I'm probably just gonna be filling it from the rad. They sent out a AN. I don't know if this is 16 AN or 18 AN. If you want to run an AN hose as a rad hose, if you're running an aluminum rad with AN fittings on it, we're not going to use that, but it does come with a regular adapter for a regular rad hose. So we'll use that. We're going to use the block off cap on the top here where you could also screw on this filler neck. Comes with 4 Allen key mounting screws. So we're going to have to pull out the studs that are in the factory K20. Teflon tape, some coolant temp sensor, something like that we're not going to use. Another block off plug that would be for this back port, but we're going to be using this for our heater hose, and then another adapter for the sensor if you wanted to install a sensor on this back port. And that's about it. It also came with 2 O-rings. One thing that I'm gonna say about the O-rings, this one actually went in pretty good. This one was a really, really tight fit. This O-ring's a little bit too big. I had to put some Vaseline in the groove, and then I could lay the O-ring in there nice, and now it's actually staying. So just look at the size difference between these two. That is literally the space that we needed in order to clear that turbo. So now we can get this turbo kit installed. So what is going on, boys? And welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a minute since I made anything on the Civic. I've been making a lot of videos on the Subaru, and to be honest with you, I've been being a 20-year-old partying, hanging out with the boys, and I haven't really been focusing on YouTube stuff. But now I want to, because I want to drive this freaking car, because I know I've been getting a lot of comments from you guys asking about the Civic and saying, where are the Civic videos? It's been like 4 months or something since I made the last video on this. But now we're going balls to the walls on this thing, and I want to have it running before the end of summer. So step 1 to working on the Civic, we got to get this coolant housing installed. But the problem is, this is not going to work with those 2 factory studs. So I already got this one double nutted. I'm just going to take both those factory studs out. And then the other thing that I noticed is hitting, I already kind of mocked it up. This little bracket here that was used for mounting one of the factory hard pipes, and this one here that was also used for mounting this to that old upper coolant housing, they actually hit the turbo and they hit the coolant housing. So this one hits the coolant housing, that one hits the turbo. So I'm gonna have to get a grinder and lop that one off and lop this one off. And then we got our factory heater hose running to this. And then we're gonna have this heater hose running to the upper coolant housing. We might have to trim it, but I'm not sure yet. First off, let's get those pulled off. Get this upper coolant housing installed. I already cleaned off all the surface there. And we got the O-rings on, so she should be good to go. Just by chopping off those 2 brackets on this coolant line and installing this upper coolant housing, we have cleared up so much space in this engine bay. Another thing that I did off camera, and I'm gonna go through all of this with you guys and show you what I did here, but those coolant lines at the back of the engine bay actually do not really fit with the whole wastegate setup once it bolts up, because they run right here. So I kind of just manhandled this hard line right here and just bent it down so it's kind of next to the shifter cable bracket there. And then this hose right here that comes off the back, just so you guys know, that is a 5/8 hose. And literally all I did with this was initially, this hose is mounted with a straight piece to a straight adapter fitting. And I know I got the straight piece kicking around here somewhere. Right here, it's just a straight 5/8 heater hose. That comes off the top port way back there, which is the 2 ports that go into your firewall, into your heater core. It's usually a straight line that comes off to a straight fitting, and then the hose that's all formed and bent to go to the factory upper coolant housing. And before I forget, forget, just so you guys know, all of the parts that I am using in all of these videos will be linked in the description. All the Jack Spania Racing parts. And then we also got a whole bunch of other parts coming from Bullboost Performance, ended up sending us a bunch of parts out too. So I will link those in the description. You guys can use the discount code Daniel10 for 10% off your purchase on the Bullboost Performance website, or you can go in the description of this video. I'll put a link that you guys can use, and that'll also give you 10% off your purchase. So I'm gonna pop this heater hose off here just so you guys can actually see what it looks like. This is the original vent hose that mounts to the top. And initially, the way it comes from factory, this straight fitting here is mounted to this little short 5/8 hose, and that goes straight into the firewall of the car, and this connects directly to the upper coolant housing. All I'm gonna do is I flipped it over 180 degrees. Now this is gonna go into the firewall on this really curvy end. That way it curves it away and keeps it away from the downpipe and the turbo and all that as it's going in there. And it actually works really nice because if you can see right there, it actually curves in under the other coolant hose and frees up a whole bunch of space right here. And then you just need to get any 5/8 heater hose and run it from that straight fitting into this upper coolant housing. So that's perfect. Now the next step here, since we cleared up a whole bunch of space back there, I want to figure out how this wastegate mounts, because I've been trying to fit it up and I've been having issues with the wastegate hitting the transmission bell housing back here. I kind of got a mess of parts on the ground right now, but this is the kind of 90-degree almost pipe that bolts to the manifold, which also bolts to the wastegate, and then off of the wastegate there is the dump tube that runs down to the bottom of the car. Now this wastegate comes with so many freaking adapters. I don't even know what's what at this point. I know that this piece here sits inside of the wastegate and helps seal the wastegate diaphragm. Or wait, not this one. The other one. This one sits in there, and now that's nice and flush, which is what we want. But I have no idea what these two brackets are for. I'm still trying to figure that out. So let's just time lapse through trying to figure out how this wastegate's gonna fit. And then before we get the turbo mounted up, I'm also gonna take that bracket off that sits back there for the fuel line, because in behind that bracket is a quick connect fitting, and we're gonna be swapping that quick connect fitting out so we can run an AN line around the turbo kind of this way up to our brand new Jack Spania Racing fuel rail. So let's figure out this wastegate situation. I don't know. I don't get it. This kit fits so terribly. I'm gonna have to modify so much just to make this work. I said I was gonna make it work. We're not quitting now. But I do wish that these flanges were V-band, because then you could rotate stuff around and make it fit better. This 2-bolt stuff sucks. So here's the situation we're running into here with this wastegate. First of all, still have absolutely zero idea what these spacers are for. There's even a groove in them, like a recessed groove, that almost fits these little flanges in there. Maybe you guys are gonna know exactly what this is for in the comments, but to me it just seems like a spacer. And when I put a spacer on either end, it makes it fit even worse than it does without the spacer. So if I put this in here, every time I try to meet this up perfectly with the manifold 2-bolt flange, you guys can see right down there, this wastegate is hitting the transmission, like the bell housing portion of the transmission. And this is not even sitting flush yet. It still needs to go down more. And then the dump tube is supposed to come off this way, and it kind of goes up and then loops back that way. So that part's gonna work, I think. But on this part of things, the fitment is absolutely shit, and I don't know what to do right now. One thing I want to point out here with my kit versus the pictures that they have on the CX Racing website, which I will pop up on the screen right there. You can see in their photo that the bolts thread right into the manifold on their photo. And my manifold does not have any threads on the wastegate flange. I have to put a nut on the top in order to get that to mount. So I think this is just the kind of shit you run into with cheap eBay kits, but we're gonna make it work. So my dad's in the shop right now and he's looking at me like I'm an idiot, but I'm getting the zip disc out and we're gonna cut the transmission to make this fit. Full send, boy! Also want to show, if you guys are not following the channel, you're missing out, because this is maybe what the Civic will look like one day. I also want to show, my dad's pretty dope. He's building his 87 Grand National. We pulled this engine a while back and he finally got the engine back from the machine shop and he's assembling this thing and it looks sick. Everything's so polished and clean.
Stealing your nuts.
Sorry, Bullboost, I gave him some of your studs and nuts. because you guys sent me some M8 studs instead of M10 studs. But that's okay. I'll just go buy some studs and my dad can use the M8 studs. So even though I didn't use them, thanks for sending them out. They worked for my dad's build. All right, final test fit after lopping off that whole section of the transmission. She is mint, boys. Look at that gap. So much room for activities in there. Now we gotta get rid of all this dust we made here. This is a freaking mess. Oh, that is so healthy. This is starting to look pretty freaking nuts, dude. Oh man, this thing's gonna be a ripper. So I got most of the turbo kit kind of mocked up, but the wastegate fit like shit until we notched out the transmission there. Now it fits pretty good. In the CX Racing photos, it was supposed to have threads in the manifold, but it doesn't, so we gotta put nuts on the back. That's two negative things about this kit so far. And then now I put the downpipe on, and unless the gasket makes that big of a difference in spacing, this downpipe does not fit. If I can find a way to show you guys this, you can see right there, I got those bolts tightened up on this side a little bit, and you can see the massive gap on the back cap there. And that's because the downpipe is hitting the manifold at the back. So this side physically can't suck right up to the turbo because the downpipe is hitting the manifold. So all we need on this whole thing right here is just like a little 1-inch T4 spacer. And then the downpipe will move back an inch, and then it's not gonna hit the whole manifold. So instead of fabricating a whole new downpipe or trying to bash in the downpipe a little bit and ruin our exhaust back pressure and the whole flow that the CX Racing kit's supposed to have from factory, I would rather just get a little spacer there or some kind of thicker gasket for the downpipe, because if we look at the gasket that came with the kit, it's literally just like a 1-layer metal gasket, and that's not going to make a difference, which kind of sucks. So we got some searching to do. Let me know if you guys know of a place that has just a 4-bolt spacer like that. We can put 2 gaskets on either side of it, get some longer bolts, or put some studs on the back of the turbo. She'll seal right up. Another thing I want to mention, because I think this is so freaking cool, this wastegate dump. Let's hop under the car. I'll show you what it looks like. For those of you that are questioning buying a CX Racing kit, wait till I show you this. Let's just hop on down underneath the car, and you guys can see right down there, that is the wastegate dump. It comes down right by the bell housing area, right between the transmission of the engine. That is gonna sound freaking insane. But I'm all about it, because that's kind of the way that the wastegate is on the Subaru. Because the wastegate on the Subaru literally dumps right down between the transmission and the axle and the downpipe. And this thing, anything over 15 pounds of boost, absolutely screams. And this car ain't gonna be running no 15 pounds of boost, maybe 10 to 12. Or I've heard with the K20s that a safe bet stock block is like 8 PSI. You can make like 350 to 400 wheel. I'd be good with that. That's not bad. Next thing I want to mention is these coolant lines. The way I manhandled this coolant line actually kind of worked out in the end, and it fits a lot better than I was expecting. This coolant line right here is that top port, like I was showing you before, how we flip that hose around. It comes in on the inside of the wastegate, which you can see right down there. It's kind of tough to show you guys this stuff, but it comes in on the inside edge of the wastegate, and that's going to go directly to the upper coolant housing. And then this hard line, it actually clears totally fine, like the way it was with me manhandling it down by the shifter cables. Clears the wastegate, clears the wastegate dump, it clears absolutely everything, so that's perfect. It's almost like this was kind of like meant to be in the car from factory. Like a lot of stuff is just kind of like working out and fitting up. The only thing that I'm having issues with is on CX Racing's end of building this kit. Like the fact that the downpipe is hitting the manifold, that has nothing to do with how this kit is sitting in the car. It's strictly just how this kit was fabricated on the jig that they built it on. It's just not good fitment, dude. That's what you get for buying eBay shit. I don't know if CX Racing is considered eBay stuff. What do you guys think? I don't know. Another thing that we are gonna have to figure out is this whole rad hose situation, because it goes in here, has one kind of slight bend down. Oh, wait a minute. Did I just make a scientific discovery here? Can I just tilt that down and then, damn. think we could just cut that. Oh, it might not fit. I think we could cut this back to like here and then see if we could rotate this and it'll go right onto that straight fitting. I think we can make this rat hose work. Another thing that has nothing to do with what we did today on the whole getting the turbo kit mocked up and stuff is I'm trying to keep AC in this car. I want this car to be like a fun daily driver that makes 350 to 400 wheel. We can just bag the living piss out of it and have fun driving back and forth to work every day because you still want it to be comfortable. That's why I'm leaving stock suspension. We might have to upgrade brakes eventually if it gets sketchy, but this car is gonna be the definition of a sleeper. It's gonna look stock, but she's gonna go fast. And that's kind of the point of these videos is I wanted to make a easily obtainable kind of budget build for you guys to watch so that you guys could buy all the same parts as me and do the same thing to your car. So all the parts that I will be using on this build will be linked in the description of every single video in this build series. I think right now we're on episode 5 maybe of this build series, and so far it's been fun. This thing's actually pretty cool to build versus Subaru stuff. And out of everything that we just installed here, well, we didn't fully install it. This is just mock-up phases right now. There's no gaskets or anything because I'm gonna make sure this all fits and it's not rubbing on anything and everything fits good, and then we're gonna take it all back out. We're gonna heat wrap the manifold, we're gonna heat wrap the downpipe, turbo blanket on the turbo, we're gonna heat wrap all the coolant lines, the purge valve line, the brake booster line, all that stuff. And we're gonna have to heat wrap this wire harness because I have the whole wire harness set to the side right now. But we're just making sure everything fits before we take the time to do all that stuff, because that would suck to have to do it all over again. We're doing it the right way. But even after this full video of getting everything mocked up there, I feel like we haven't even put a dent in the parts that we have for this thing. We still got our DW 1200cc injectors and our 340 liter per hour fuel pump. That is the second half of the downpipe. These are all just stock parts that are pooey and garbage. There's our turbo blanket and a bunch of other stuff sent out by Bullboost Performance. We also got like a catch can and stuff like that in here that we're gonna be running for Bullboost, which is sick. This is another part that came with the turbo, which would be nice if this was 4-bolt to 4-bolt spacer. We got all our silicone couplers and stuff for the intercooler piping. This is a package that Jackspania Racing sent out. We got a whole bunch of 10AN, 6AN fuel line, a whole bunch of 10AN fittings and 6AN fittings for running fuel line and the oil return line off the turbo. Another part that is really, really cool from Jackspania is this little K20 tensioner cover plate that also has a 10AN fitting on it for an oil return off the turbo. This is unreal because it makes it so you don't have to drill a hole in your oil pan and weld a 10AN bung onto your oil pan. You can just bolt this up to the tensioner plate and then you got an oil return. You just got to run the line all the way down the back of the engine over to the side where your cert belt is on the motor, because that's where this little guy is going to sit. Hopefully we have enough gravity feed to make it there. I know it's quite a distance to travel all the way to the other side of the engine, but we'll make sure that that's all good before we run the car. So before you guys go in the comments and say it has to go to the oil pan because it has to be 90 degrees straight down, I know, but we're gonna try this and see if it works. Then we got all of our heat wrap and stuff like that over here. This is still from the STI build, a lot of titanium Tome exhaust wrap. I ordered some more exhaust wrap off of Amazon, just some black Evil Energy exhaust wrap. We're probably gonna use that first. And then we got the gold heat tape for the harnesses and stuff like that. And then in this box, we got another package from Bullboost Performance. Again, these stickers are freaking nuts. But they sent out some, looks like engine mount, some CNC billet brackets, some black brackets for engine mounts, and I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that this is an engine mount. Hey, would you look at that? Some billet mounts. We gotta open this thing up. This thing looks good, actually. Ooh, I like it. I love CNC machine stuff. This type of shit honestly just gets me going. It looks so good. But we are not at this stage yet. We are slowly getting there. Here's all the intercooler piping we still gotta get to, and the Jancast CX Racing blow-off valve that's probably not gonna work very good. And that's pretty much it. We got our RPF1 sitting here on some Zestino Acrovas, another set of race tires for the Subaru. And then for gauges, I still gotta order a actual gauge mount because this pillar mount is for like a Mazda 3 or something, and it's black trim and the inside of this car is tan trim. But we got boost, AFR, and oil temp. I wish we had an oil pressure, but just oil temp for now. We got our good old Honda, or Hoondata, and I'm pretty sure I got a 4-bar map sensor from Honda and a 4-port boost controller as well. So long story short, part. We made a little bit of progress today. I'm glad we're kind of mocking up everything with this whole turbo kit. It's gonna take a couple episodes to get this to fit properly because it is just such shitty fitment, if I'm being honest with you. Everything from Bullboost and Jackspania so far bolts right up, no problem. CX Racing stuff, I'm rating it a 4 out of 10 as of right now. It might get better, but we'll see. Before I end this video though, I do need to mention one thing because I got a couple comments saying that I couldn't run a line from the brake booster straight to the throttle body for my brake booster line because the check valve is in line in this whole metal assembly here. And I'm gonna prove that it's not right now because if I take this and I put my mouth over it, I'm gonna blow this straight into the mic. This should only blow air one way and not the other if the check valve is in this whole assembly. That's one way. Now let's blow the other way. Not there, boys. This is pretty much garbage unless you want to save this purge valve, which I might just vent my evap fumes to atmosphere, or I might try and reroute the purge valve lines. I'm not sure yet. I'll show you where the check valve is.
I just gotta take it off first.
Here is the check valve. Just yanked it out of the car. In this hose, you can see one little spot where there's kind of a little ball there. Not a big ball, just a little one. And if I blow one way, you hear that? That's one way. Now let's go the other. There's your check valve because you can blow air one way and not the other. So realistically, all we gotta do, chop, chop, right there. And then we're gonna put an adapter fitting and an adapter fitting. And then Bullboost sent us out something else and I don't know where it is. Right here, they sent us a whole bunch of 1/2-inch silicone hose. So this 1/2-inch silicone hose is just gonna attach on one end to like a straight barbed adapter fitting, attach on one side, attach on the other, straight to our throttle body, right in the factory location, which is sick, and I'm all about it. Oh, this car's gonna be so sick, I'm so excited. So since we got everything kind of test fitted, the last thing we need to do is get a spacer on that downpipe, then we can pull everything out and heat wrap everything, and then get our final install. This is gonna be the end of this video because I'm trying to keep these as short and informative as I can to try and help you guys install these kits on your cars if you're buying one. I do want to say thank you to Jackspania Racing and Bullboost Performance for sending out all of these parts. It really helps out and makes me be able to do builds like this to make these how-to videos for you guys. And one thing that I wish before I bought the CX Racing Turbo Kit is I wish I would have known about Bullboost Performance because they actually have a sidewinder manifold kit that is 10 times better quality than this CX Racing one. So go check out that link in the description or just search up Bullboost Performance, and if you're gonna buy anything on that site, use the code Daniel10, save you guys some money, you'll get 10% off. But that is gonna be it for episode 5 of the Turbo Honda build series. I'm starting to call this thing the Honda because I thought it was kind of funny. We're gonna have to get stickers and maybe some t-shirts made of that. But I'm excited for this thing to run. I hope you guys are too. Next video is gonna be on the Subaru because the damn thing is misfiring again, and we gotta go to the track on Saturday. So we gotta figure that out this week. So peace out, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye. Bro, I'm still trying to figure out if this Honda is gonna be faster than the damn Subaru.